Hey everyone, I'm Candace. Thank you for coming to my podcast. It's me time. This is about you. In tonight's episode, I wanted to talk about a conversation that is a little bit uncomfortable because it's quite misunderstood, in my opinion. And I'm here to talk about restorative justice and how I came to find that a beneficial tool for my life and my healing journey, my healing process. So, without any further ado, stay tuned and let's get into it. So, last year, after 6 years of waiting for a trial with my perpetrator, I was told that he would be pleading guilty. And when that happened, everything happened so quickly. I only had 10 days to prepare my victim impact statement. And later on that summer, I had fought to have my publication ban off of my name. And when I did that, I chose to make my podcast and put myself out there in hopes to help other people. But for me, I was struggling internally. I was struggling with the time that he had got. I didn't think that 15 months was reasonable for the things that had occurred and the things that had gone on. And, excuse me, my counselor actually mentioned restorative justice to me and asked me if I had known what it is. And I did not at the time. So I'm going to read you the definition because I have it right here. And so this is what I came to know as my first introduction to restorative justice. Restorative justice is a process that encourages communication between victims, offenders, and the community to address the harm caused by a crime. It's a voluntary and safe way to heal victims, hold offenders accountable, and build safer communities. How does restorative justice work? Dialogue. Participants share their stories and needs through a facilitated dialogue. Accountability. Offenders take responsibility for their actions. Repair. Victims receive reparation. And reintegration. Offenders are reintegrated into the community. Benefits of restorative justice: reduces the number of cases that go to trial, leads to better outcomes for victims and offenders, helps offenders live more positively and recognize their strengths, helps victims reduce feelings of anxiety and powerlessness. Principles of restorative justice: relationship, respect, responsibility, repair, and reintegration. Examples of restorative justice are restorative justice circles, restorative justice conferences, restorative justice dialogue, and peacemaking circles. Restorative justice can be used in a variety of settings, including schools and criminal justice cases. And so I didn't really get it at first. And that's why I want to talk about what restorative justice means to me, because as a victim of a crime, sorry, I should say survivor of a crime, I kind of read that a lot differently than a lot of the people that I have conversations with about restorative justice. And that's what we're here for today. So, when I was assaulted in 2018, the other victims that came after me in that 2 years that I wasn't believed, that was like, that was so detrimental to my existence. And it has nothing to do with the other victims, but everything to do with my perpetrator. And after all that time had gone by and seeing him plead, and, I'm 6 years sober at this point, and watching him get that 15 months was just like, I need more. I need more out of it. And I had healed to the point of being able to recognize that I had done things to hurt other people because I was hurting throughout my lifetime. And I was able to forgive myself and love myself to the point of being able to have compassion towards not necessarily my perpetrator at the time, but my situation. I had been able to identify more easily what was mine and what wasn't. And seeing that boundary created space for me to recognize the fact that I am really affected by the other people that got hurt after me. And the fact that the police didn't believe me really, really affected me. And that was just a really big piece of my life that I felt like I needed to follow. And so within this past year and being offered to look into restorative justice for myself, I started thinking about what can I get out of it? What can other people get out of it? Who will this help? Because this isn't an easy process. It's actually quite difficult. It's a lot of emotional energy. It's a lot of focus. It takes time out of my life. It takes concentration. It takes a lot. Not to mention the inner work that I've had to do to bring myself to this point of being able to even have this conversation with myself and recognizing the fact that hurt people. And I have a choice in today in how I choose to go about it, because what I don't have a choice about is the amount of time that he got. Because it doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter anything. He got his time. And although he was sentenced for my crime after other crimes, when my crime was the first one, if anybody knows anything about that and can give me some advice, I would greatly appreciate it. Just leave a comment below. But because it all happened the way that it did, and there was so much corruption within my case and my file, all I've basically experienced throughout the realm of professionals for the past 6 years was like trash. I've received hurt because other people, everybody's hurt. And so I just realized that I didn't want to be like everybody else. I don't want to live like that. I don't want to create more damage. And what I can do about it is take a look at myself and get myself to a place of being able to ask him what happened to him and ask him what what happened, who hurt you, and like how can we go about this conversation so that this doesn't keep happening. Because hurt people. And I've said it so many times before, and I'm going to keep saying it because it's so true. But it's also heal people. And so throughout my healing journey, I'm so grateful for recovery. I'm grateful for hard days. I'm grateful for God. I'm grateful for my family. And I'm grateful for myself for showing up today. But within that encompasses a piece of me that was still taken away. And I don't want that for other people. And so all I can do is bring myself to a place where I can talk to him. And that's what I plan to do. Restorative justice is something that has been proven to be highly successful when applied in the correct manner, in a controlled setting, in a way that just isn't going to create more harm. Because at the end of the day, these people that do these things and they create these crimes, or commit these crimes, I should say, they're mixed up. And I'm going to tell you a little story about how I grew to find a piece of compassion towards my perpetrator. Is I had a friend that I had met in recovery, so in this past few years, and I loved him. I loved him. I never We never crossed that friendship line. But I loved him. And we spent a lot of time together. And I found out after months of friendship and support and a lot of laughs, I found out that he was a rapist. And it really threw me through a really hard loop. Like, this person had helped me write my victim impact statement. They had really just been what I thought to be a solid person. Like, we built trust and we worked on things. And like, it wasn't like, how people come in your lives and then they create such an impact and then they're gone. It was kind of like that. But like, the impact that this person had on me resonated so deeply that even though they're gone and not a part of my life right now, the impact is still there. And that was a catalyst for me. That person was really a really big part of my journey in my life. And I I loved somebody that was a rapist after being raped. And it really got me thinking. Um, 1 in 3 women get assaulted in this lifetime. I should say girls, females, 1 in 3, 1 in 5 men. The statistics are very high. And I don't know the percentages, like the stats for women perpetrators, but I do know that there's a lot of men out there that hurt a lot of people. And I know that some of them are uncles, some of them are brothers, some of them are sons, some of them are friends, some of them are husbands, some of them are boyfriends, some of them are strangers or acquaintances or coworkers. Men exist in this world, but they have this kind of mysterious aura to them because we don't know who's who. Like, we don't know who's a rapist and who's not. We don't know who's a molester. We don't know who's a perpetrator. And the system has built itself around the protection of these people and these crimes that they've done, which adds to the secrecy. Like, we don't talk about it. And I'm here to change that. I'm here to talk about it. I'm here to say that 1 in 3 females are assaulted. 1 in 5 males is assaulted. And that's too high for me to be silent. And that was a big part of me getting my publication ban off as well. Because after coming forward, the cops not believing me, other women getting hurt, and then this, how could I stay silent? For me, it's a very personal thing because, but I've been able to heal through it to the point where I can say, like, it may be personal to you too. Like, maybe your brother is a rapist. Maybe your dad is. Maybe your son. Maybe your friend. Maybe your husband. Maybe somebody that you love and care about is touching people at night or when they get too drunk at the bar and they come in just before close. Or maybe they are sitting there with their, what do those people do? Oh, like with the cameras and the creepy stuff with the cameras, the voyeur stuff. Like, there's people that stalk other people. There's people that have whole sides of themselves that they don't talk about. But right now, I'm here to talk about the sexual assault offenders. So, logically speaking, I can't be the only one who has had a friend that's a rapist. And as well as being assaulted myself. Like the chances are not very high. So I'm here to talk about how important it is to talk about it, because my goal in seeking restorative justice is to raise awareness around this stuff. Raise awareness around the fact that there are so many people out there hurting other people, yet nobody's talking about it. And like, why? Because it makes people uncomfortable. Well, like, I don't care. I do not care about people's comfort. I'm here for survivors, and I'm here for humans helping humans, and healed people heal people. And this is what I'm here to talk about, is the other side of the coin, is because if healed people heal people, then wouldn't it make sense to be talking about this stuff? Like, wouldn't it make sense for men to be talking to other men about the things that they've gone through and why they're doing the things that they are, so that we can bring light to a dark corner inside of somebody's soul and make it not so scary, so the behavior can change, so that everybody actually has a chance at life after rape, because these things happen. Yes. But healing, and what are we going to do about it, is each of ours responsibility. Recovery is my recovery is my responsibility. My perpetrator's recovery is his responsibility. Recovery from what? It's different for everybody. Your recovery is your responsibility, but what happened to you isn't. And so there has to be some sort of chain in the cycle that breaks. And that, I have found, is healing. And it, with changing my perspective to be able to realize that he went and had babies after me. I don't, well, like, what kind of person do I want to be where I can wish him the worst? I really could. I have. Or I can wish him healing, because his children are going to create the future in which my future generations need. Like, they all have to get along and work together. Like, these dads, brothers, sons, these humans that hurt other people are thinking about themselves. He's not thinking about his kids, but I am. Like, these kids matter, man. These families matter. These people outside of the person that hurt me, their lives matter too. Like, and what kind of person would I be if I sat in it for the rest of my life and wished him the worst? If I hated him, if I carried that guilt and shame around inside of myself, self harming, self destructing, self sabotaging, self loathing, self pitying, self, I already said self harming, but I could probably say it twice. Like, that's not the life that I want. And just because somebody else chose to redirect my life at one point, totally 90 degrees, doesn't mean that I'm stuck going in that direction, if that makes sense. I actually have the capacity, the ability, the capability, the knowledge, the wisdom, the strength, and the power within me, as do you, to change the direction in which we choose to live. And that's exactly what I've done. And that road has led me to where I'm at now. And I'm happy to be talking about restorative justice, because it has been a slow process. It has been excruciating, but it's not restorative justice that was been excruciating. It's been my experience of going through the earthly time frame, the six, like the 2 years of not being believed, and then the year and whatever of my kit being missing and then wanting me to look for it, and then like another year practicing, like not practicing but preparing for trial, and then like it just, it's such a process. And I went through a lot of extra stuff within myself that, like, I feel if I had some guidance around me, that I wouldn't have needed to necessarily go through. And that's why I'm having this conversation with you today, because a lot of the stuff that I'm saying right now is stuff that I really could have like benefited from hearing. But when I was going through all this stuff, there was no counselors, no psychiatrists, no anybody that could help me or give me advice to help me with what I was feeling inside. Because as far as I was concerned, nobody understood what I was going through. But then I heal myself to the point of realizing there's a lot of people that understood what I was going through within their own experience, because 1 in 3 and 1 in 5 does not make me unique. What made me unique was the timeline of it being drawn out. And I accept that today, because everything happens for a reason. And I was gifted that time so that I could heal to the point of being able to sit here and say that you can do it, that you are strong, you are capable, you are worthy, you are just glorious in all of your humanness. You are also spiritual. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And when the messiness of life, the unhealed hurts of other people and their generational trauma and their mistakes and their parents' mistakes and everything that comes back to it gets put onto a person because they're hurt. I'm here to tell you that it's going to be okay. It can be okay. But there's a responsibility as a survivor, and having this placed on me is my responsibility to recover. Because after recovery, after we heal from these things, we don't become the person that we were before, because that person's gone. We become these new versions of ourselves. We develop into empowered, strong, resilient, beautiful, brave, courageous advocates for sexual assault and or whatever it is for you, for these things that happen to us, so that we can stand up and speak on behalf of people that may not be able to right now. And that's what this is about. Because being the first one to come forward and the last one that he was sentenced for has made me into a person that I can't just like watch him get out and hurt more people. Because that's what this is now. What he's created in this lifetime is we're bound for life. I will either be getting calls from, updates until the end of time, or he will do better. And I support him doing better, because this is not about my feelings. It's about the greater good of humanity. And that's what it's always been about for me. Because when I found out that there were others, like that alone almost killed me. Like, if you're watching this and you are one of the people that got hurt after I did in Kamloops, BC, just know that I got you. I got you. I'm so sorry that that happened to you. But I am doing everything in my power to help myself and to help him, because he is a hurt person. And it's not because I'm condoning what he's done. It's because I don't want it to happen anymore. And, I feel like that's a pretty generic couple sentences that could be applied to a lot of different situations, because hurt people in various ways, and it's not easy to be in this place of like, well, what do I do now? Because that's where I was for a long time, just trying to figure it out, and get a couple one day at a times back to back, and I got some clarity. And I realized that just because I was hurt doesn't mean that I was hurt for him. And it's a really confusing thing for a lot of people because the most common response that I've gotten throughout my life is like, oh, he'll get his. And like, oh, like he'll get the same thing to him that happened to you. And like all this stuff. And it's just like, I don't want that for him. I really, really don't. And I'm like, love me or hate me, that's the way I feel. I don't wish that for him. I wish him healing. And I wish him healing so that, I don't know too much about what happened, but I do know that there are people that love him, and those people are hurt by what he did to me. It's just like the brain trickles down and it doesn't stop and it affects everybody. And when everybody's bleeding all over people that didn't cut them, I think that that's a pretty good place to take a pause and say, okay, like, what can I do differently? And what do I need to heal within myself to be able to change the script and like change the narrative? Because this isn't the life that was placed on me, isn't a life that I want to live. And so I need to make a life that I want to live. And that starts with healing myself. It starts with self love, man. It starts with self compassion. It starts with self forgiveness. It starts with finding clarity within myself. It starts with doing the right thing, not the easy thing. It starts with taking a look at my feelings. It starts with, for me, it started with getting sober and allowing myself the space to like feel my body. Like, that was really hard. Like, allowing myself to just be clean and sober and in my body. um like, it's a great place to start, and it's hard, but at least at the end of the day, I'm healing, I'm not hurting, and that's all I want. Like, I just don't want to hurt anymore, and I don't want other people to hurt anymore. And I just really truly believe that restorative justice is a gift. And I believe that there are gifts of trauma, and they don't look the same for everybody. Sometimes the gift of trauma is waking up and being okay with where I'm at today. And sometimes it's waking up and it's just like, you know what, like, thinking of those other survivors, and it's just like, I got you. Like, I'm going to write that victim impact statement for all of us. Like, I can't express enough how much I have gratitude to you for listening to me tonight. And I understand that this is a really kind of complex conversation that not a lot of people um, tend to really engage in. But I just thank you for listening and for hearing me and for even taking a look at your own life and your own experiences, and where can where can you heal? Where can you stop hurting others because you're hurting? Because those were the questions that I had to ask myself in order to really dive into it. And so um, I'm looking forward to tuning in next week and also reading the comments, because leave some comments below, like if you've been through anything similar, or if you have anything to say, like, please just reach out if you're struggling. And just remember that the guilt and shame that has been placed upon you in your life isn't yours to carry. It's not yours to bear. So be kind to yourself through this process. Be kind to me. Be kind to each other. And just, take 24 and pass it along. Thank you for listening.